Bitcoin's golden cross is occurring right now as we speak. Bitcoin is currently up almost 10% in the last 24 hours. But is this truly the beginning of a 6-digit gigabust, or is it just a giant, premature pumpulation? And after its most glorious month in history, did Solana just soil its trousers once and for all? I'm your host, Chili Cheese Dog, and the big questions are, will this golden cross perform? Is Solana centralized? And what in Turkey Town do they put in hot dogs? Well, this is truly it. Boys, girls, furries, and everything between. The 50 and 200 DMAs are officially about to touch tips, and this could not be any bigger. Make sure to like, subscribe. This gives me these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. As well, it looks as though we have 13 big ones left until this ADA competition is complete. So make sure to get your entries in for that, very big. And as well, if you want to join our new ADA stake pool and earn interest on your ADA risk-free, there is a quick tutorial below. You can see it in the pinned comment there. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Whoa, so first things first here, guys. I wanted to cover this. Solana blockchain coming to a halt due to a bug. This is very big, and the network was shut down by the team, it seems. Okay, this is still kind of breaking news, so this will, more information will be coming out over the next couple of days, I'm sure. You can even see the official Solana status Twitter talking about this mainnet experiencing intermittent instability. And yeah, is this really bad for Solana? Well, I want to actually reference this, just what I posted on September 9th, so only 5 days ago, about bugs for Solana. Absolutely. Are there going to be some issues that come up with Solana? I don't see why not. I think it's very likely as well. Wow, so if we jump into so within only 5 days of posting that video, it looks as though there may already be some issues with Solana and potentially hinting at a lack of decentralization, which is quite a big deal, many believe. So if we just want to look over this really briefly here, Solana coming to a halt, Ethereum killer killing itself, right? There has been dozens and thousands, well, maybe not thousands, dozens and hundreds of Ethereum killers, self-proclaimed Ethereum killers. And keep in mind, I hold Solana, I hold Ethereum, I hold ADA. So I'm not very biased. I'm just kind of objectively looking at this as obviously ETH has issues. ADA potentially has issues, even though the smart contract rollout was pretty smooth. And Solana now as well, potentially being a little more centralized than people expect. So the team stopped the network themselves, raising questions about centralization. So that's kind of the big issue here. The last transaction block was added more than 3 hours ago at the time of this article being written. Basically here, again, this is the Twitter announcement, Solana saying it's experiencing intermittent instability and the engineers are working to solve the issues. But really the big deal here is the fact that the Ethereum network, when it had issues, did not shut down. It was not shut down by the devs, right? But Solana seems to be able to be shut down there. And yesterday I did talk about ADA being the most staked cryptocurrency, and I got a few comments basically from people saying that actually it's Solana is the most staked cryptocurrency. But then people did respond that specific comment saying yes, but it's centralized. And so Solana being centralized, I think, is a topic that is not new, but this could potentially be troubling here, as obviously any network can run if it is centralized. It's not really a new piece of technology or a useful piece of technology if it's centralized. We've had centralized technology forever. The point of cryptocurrencies is to be decentralized. So yeah, I'm just curious if more information is going to come out about this, and potentially, as I said in this clip, the point of this clip was saying Ethereum has issues, ADA has issues, even Bitcoin, right? But Solana most likely will have issues, and within 5 days, of course, here we get some news that probably will shake the faith of some of the hardcore Solana maximalists, if that's even a thing. And Solana's already been kind of pulling back for the last few days anyway, so yeah, I mean, I could see this just continuing to at least the 21-day moving average, probably, dipping below it at some point here, especially, when the network comes back on. Curious to see how people respond to that, seeing as how this probably is not the most bullish news for Solana. But in more important news, Bitcoin is on the verge of a very big golden cross. The last time we saw this, absolute insanity for Bitcoin, going from 4 digits to $65,000 per Bitcoin. It was actually it was about like $9,000 last time we got a golden cross. And we're also seeing something extremely important on-chain shaping up at the exact same time that also mimics what happened last time we got the golden cross in terms of what was happening on-chain and in terms of price action. So the weak on-chain analytics firm Glassnode revealed long-term holders, or LTHs, own nearly 13 million Bitcoin, 80% of the supply. The extent of strong hand belief in Bitcoin this year contrasts strongly with previous eras, and the trend shows no sign of stopping. Short-term holders, or STHs, have regularly formed a major market presence before. Even the most recent run to 50K failed to shake LTH's resolve, or long-term holders. So LTH-owned supply has reached 79.5% of all Bitcoin coins this week, which is equivalent to the level reached in October prior to the bull market kicking off. In fact, on an absolute coin volume basis, LTHs currently own the most coins in history, hitting almost 13 million Bitcoin this week. And peaks in LTH-owned supply typically correlate with late-stage bear markets, which are historically followed by a supply squeeze and initiation of cyclical bull runs. So what this means here is that the LTH-owned supply that we're seeing right now is basically the same that we see at the end of a bear market as we're about to initiate a very insanely strong bull market, where we see the supply squeeze and initiate, just a very strong historical bull cycle. So we're seeing that now, and I think that's very interesting. As is it possible that we just went through a 4-month bear market and now we're about to enter a mini bull run again, or something like that, right? Looking at previous cycles, obviously the answer would be no, because previous cycles would tell us that we're still in the middle of a typical Bitcoin bull cycle. But there are two models that are growing in popularity that actually dispute this. One, obviously the lengthening cycle, and then two is that we're just entering a different era of adoption, which is fundamentally true. But could that bleed over into the charts and make these bullish moves stronger but shorter, and then these dumps stronger but also shorter? So giant move up, pretty big dumpy move to the downside. Then could we have another giant move up, and then another pretty big dumpy downside move, and then potentially another giant move up, and just maybe slowly diverge away from 4-year cycles? Or again, could it just be a more lengthening cycle where we're still just in the middle of this cycle, but it's going to go potentially higher and longer than people expect, maybe all the way into like the middle of next year or something like that. So I just think it's important to look at that because of how many people are holding. Again, I've always just believed that eventually these 4-year cycles will end. I just think on a long-term scale, so far Bitcoin has been as predictable as possible. For example, if we even just go, this is a chart I had plotted on here like 2 years ago, and it's just the Brave New Coin BLX chart. And it's this symmetrical triangle that I was tracking. Many other people were tracking as well for years. And we were all expecting, basically, this is the halving right here, this line. We were all expecting after this for Bitcoin to really start picking up steam. And that's literally exactly what happened. So myself and many other people that have been in this space for years predicted this. We knew this is going to happen. So on a long-term scale, Bitcoin is extremely predictable. And I just tend to think that eventually, I don't think these models will last forever. I just personally think that it's likely that we won't just see such predictable price action for Bitcoin, and we'll start to diverge a little bit, especially as actual adoption starts happening, which we're seeing. If more and more people are buying Bitcoin and like 90% of people aren't just getting dumped on at the end of a cycle like we've seen in the past, if that stops happening and people just start accumulating it and holding it as an actual store of value, not to mention people getting interested in earning yield and just APY with DeFi and other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, Solana, ADA, and stuff like that, and actually just stay invested year round instead of getting dumped on at the end of a cycle, then naturally I think it would be silly to just think that, we're just going to have another massive blow off and then an 80% drop and then a 2-year bear market and do the same thing over and over and over again for the rest of history. I think that's extremely unlikely, and I think at some point in the near future we are going to see it diverge. Will it be this cycle? I honestly don't know. I think it might still be a little too early. Will it be by next cycle? I think that would be a pretty big possibility. But the point is, we're seeing this data shape up on this, on-chain, which again, nobody was using 4 years ago. It wasn't a thing 4 years ago. Nobody was looking at on-chain data 4 years ago. And it's become a very big thing over the past year in particular. And with that being said, this price action I think is much more ambiguous, and I think it's going to get harder and harder to predict. And I don't think that we're going to be able to predict it like we did this bull cycle for like the past 3 years. I don't think we're going to be able to do that forever. If you're new channel, make sure to like, subscribe, turn these gives me these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. If you're interested in joining our stake pool and earning interest, really there's no risk involved. Make sure to check out the quick tutorial in the pinned comments below. And as well, if you're interested in any other bonuses or anything like that, you can check out the website below. And yeah, 12 hours left, and there are currently 616,000 entries. I think it's a little over 7,000 unique entries, because each person can have, like, I don't know, probably multiple hundred entries. Make sure to do that. We'll be doing that in the next video. And without any further ado, is it for me? Bye.